Hello, and welcome to this special election episode of Meridian News Now. I'm Katie Schroeder. Thanks for joining us. Here at Home TV, we want to try our best to make sure your voting process is simple. Ballots can be complicated, and while some election races receive lots of attention, some don't receive much. Today, we'll introduce some candidates at the national, statewide, and local levels, as well as some ballot proposals that you'll see on your November 3rd ballot. We want to note that we reached out to every candidate in the following races we will be mentioning today, but not everyone participated in our candidate interviews. First off, we have the biggest race out there for the Commander-in-Chief of the United States, the presidential race. President Donald Trump is at the end of his 4-year term, leaving it up to America to either re-elect him for another term or choose former Vice President Joe Biden to take over the largest leadership position in America. Trump is running once more with Vice President Mike Pence, and Biden is running with California Senator Kamala Harris by his side. In other news, President Trump is holding a rally in Lansing today. Home TV's Janelle James was on site at Capital Region International Airport to report what she saw.
I'm here outside of Capital Region International Airport in Lansing, Michigan, where President Donald Trump is hosting a rally. Despite there being fears of the second wave of coronavirus, very few masks are being worn.
We will have more on this story later today. The race for Michigan Senator is underway. Democratic incumbent candidate Gary Peters is going up against Republican candidate John James. Peters has been Michigan Senator since 2015. He has his bachelor's in political science and an MBA in finance. He also has 2 master's degrees in law and philosophy. Peters formerly served in the Michigan State Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. James ran for this position previously back in 2018 when he ran against Debbie Stabenow. He was a graduate from West Point and the University of Michigan. He served in the U.S. Army for 8 years. The winner of the seat will hold a 6-year term. Meridian Township residents will also be voting for who they want to represent Michigan's 8th District. The 8th District is made up of both Ingham and Livingston County and includes parts of Oakland County. Republican candidate Paul Young was a former president of Okemos while he was working at Fox 47. He received his bachelor's from Berkeley JD from the San Diego School of Law and his master's from the University of Michigan, Ross School of Business. He worked in the domestic violence unit as a deputy district attorney. Young recently worked with the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Service as the part of the Trump administration.
I think as a former prosecutor and working in a small business, I understand some of the things that the people of the 8th District will care about. I mean, as I've been campaigning, even in this time of the coronavirus, people are very concerned about the economy and the impact that the coronavirus has had on it. I think we're going to talk about that more today. But given my background, I think I'm well positioned to represent the people of the 8th.
The next candidate is running for re-election in the Michigan Congress race. Democratic incumbent candidate Alyssa Slotkin grew up in Holly, Michigan. She ended up receiving her bachelor's from Cornell and master's from Columbia. Slotkin was a part of the former President Bush's national security staff and Obama's Department of Defense during his administration.
Frankly, being the Congresswoman has been the honor of my life. It is the best thing I've ever done. And I hope that both what we've been able to do and how we've gone about doing it makes you believe that I'm worth reinvesting in.
If she is not reelected, Slotkin's term will end on January 3rd, 2021. The final candidate is Joe Hartman from the Libertarian Party. Hartman was born in Florida, where he earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Central Florida. Hartman has a background in tax accounting, where he worked with people figuring out the tax code and tax collectors. Hartman says the main goal of his campaign is to offer another option of where government imposes its will, allowing people to pursue their own interest.
I've been a part of the Libertarian Party, and I've been a Libertarian for many years. And I took the opportunity to put my name out there as a third-party candidate to offer an alternative to the Republican and Democrat options for people who want to look into, voting for a third-party candidate as a protest vote, or as, really just to get my ideas out there and spread the message of liberty and the value of individual liberty, and try to inject a different approach to, public policy and political discourse.
In the state representative race, Republican candidate Grace Norris is running against two other hopefuls. Norris received her bachelor's from Beijing University of Technology and her master's from Flinders University. She works as a field organizer for Michigan Republicans and is affiliated with both the Michigan Chinese Conservatives Alliance and the Mid-Michigan Republican Women's Club. The current state representative Democratic candidate Julie Brixey was a member of the Meridian Township Board of Trustees for a total of 5 terms lasting 18 years. During 3 of those terms, she served as the board's treasurer.
During that time home with my kids, I kind of tripped and fell into local government. I got involved to help my neighbors and to help protect my own neighborhood, which is an aging neighborhood, from commercial encroachment. And I ended up spending nearly 20 years in local government as a result of that experience.
The next candidate, Jean Gouzier, is running as a member of the Green Party. He is a current East Lansing resident and described himself to Home TV as an average American who believes that life experiences and the lessons learned from them are some of the most important things voters should consider when choosing a candidate.
One of those lessons that I think makes me a good person to be a candidate is that I believe that greed destroys. And we've seen that in our society. We see that today. We are a greedy nation, and we're using up our resources. And pretty soon we're going to run out of things because of that greed. And we have to start going to a different path if we're ever going to get out of this, get out of our own way, basically.
The state representative seat has remained blue for over 30 years. Stay tuned into Home TV on election night to see whether or not this next term will be different. Meridian residents are voting for the Ingham County prosecutor on the 3rd as well. George Platsis is the Republican candidate running for prosecuting attorney. Platsis is a University of Michigan alum and currently lives in Okemos. He has served as an assistant to Attorney General Governor William McKillen. Seaman also worked as the civil and appellate law firm that he owns.
Who understands the importance of discipline and the rule of law. I am educated in history, philosophy, law, and science. I'm an Orthodox Christian. I believe in individual freedom, individual responsibility, and individual redemption. I believe in republicanism in the Constitution of the United States.
Carol Seaman is the current incumbent candidate running against Platsis. Before Seaman was elected in 2016, she served for 11 years as an assistant to the previous Ingham County prosecutor.
Since I've been the prosecutor, I have worked on enhancing services in a variety of areas. The two that I would talk about are victim services, which I think are the most critical function of any prosecutor's office. I've enhanced services by hiring an additional grant-funded witness coordinator who has taken on some responsibilities that allow our victim specialists to focus more on working with victims. We've now allowed people to check online for court appearances instead of just a telephone hotline to make it easier for people. We have a closer collaboration with community-based organizations working with domestic violence like CARE and EVE. I actively participate in groups like Capital Area Sexual Assault Response Team.
The race for Ingham County Clerk has 2 candidates this year. Joseph Warner is the Republican candidate running against Democratic incumbent candidate Barb Byram. But this isn't the first time the two went head-to-head. Warner ran against Byram from Clerk back in 2016. Byram is Ingham County's current clerk. Byram received her bachelor's and master's degree from Michigan State University. Byram is a former Michigan House Representative for the 67th District. She was sworn into her position as the Ingham County Clerk in the beginning of 2013.
I've served as Ingham County Clerk for 8 years, and through that time, I've learned what is needed to serve as an effective county clerk. I'm also accredited election administrator from the Election Center out of Texas, actually. I have many contacts throughout the nation with other election officials, other election administrators, and I am able to contact others, experts in the field, if needed, if I have questions. I'm also serve as co-chair of the Michigan Association of County Clerks Legislative Committee, so I'm very active in the legislative process when it affects county clerks' offices and counties. I think I am situated well to continue serving the county in the capacity as county clerk.
The next race we will be talking about is the Ingham County Register of Deeds. Carol Jerry Van Dree is the Republican candidate running against Democratic incumbent candidate Derek Queenie. We reached out to Van Dree, but she chose not to participate. Here's what Queenie had to say.
This opportunity was one that occurred as a result of myself having to go through land transitions and such. My mother had property, and then we had to deed it out and go through that entire process, which was quite an ordeal. But at the end, that piqued my interest as far as land ownership, and as a result of that, in 2015, when now State Senator Curtis Hertel left to go to the State House, Senator, I had an opportunity, and I applied for the position and was fortunate enough, blessed to be able to get that position. So now here I am.
Will Queenie retain his position? Make sure to tune in on November 3rd to find out. In the Ingham County Commissioner race for the 12th District has 2 candidates vying for the position. The Republican candidate running for commissioner is Sam Frangie, but he did not participate in our candidate interview series. His opponent is Democratic incumbent candidate Mark Poldiver.
Given me the opportunity of knowing when challenges come up, that, you know, how to figure out which parties to bring together to get things addressed. And I think I've done a pretty solid track record of that this past 2 years, and look forward to continuing that, representing Southern Meridian Township on the County Commission.
The Hazlet Board of Education race has 3 candidates running, but only one partisan candidate, Greg Bird, chose to participate in our candidate interview series. The other 2 candidates are Tracy Collins, who is the incumbent candidate, and Kamara Lewis. Both candidates are also nonpartisan. Here's what Bird had to say.
As someone with experience in education policy and prior service on the Hazlet School Board, I believe I'm a great candidate, and one that has the understanding to hit the ground running on day one. And I think that's especially important as we are now unfortunately dealing with a pandemic. And I believe someone with experience is needed on the board that can help our community, our teachers, our students navigate through this process.
The full interview with Bird can be found on Home TV's website. The final race we will be talking about today is the Okemos School Board. Of the 6 candidates we reached out to, only 4 participated in candidate interviews. The 2 who didn't participate are nonpartisan incumbent candidate Katie Kavanaugh and nonpartisan candidate Joe Friedoff. We will first talk about nonpartisan candidate Thomas Gorman. Gorman just graduated from Okemos High School in 2020. He also spends a lot of time volunteering in the community.
Like you said, my name is Thomas Gorman. I've been a resident of Okemos for 15 years now. I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in computer science from Michigan State University. Throughout my time at Okemos, I saw there was a real need for student insight in the creation of policies within our district. And so that's why I decided to run and become a candidate, was because I believe that the best way I could give back to our community was by fulfilling that role on the board.
Next is nonpartisan incumbent candidate Melania C. Lin. Lin was appointed to the Okemos School Board in 2010 and is hoping to continue her term.
Melania Lin, and I am excited to offer my services as a member of the Board of Education. My husband and I have been a part of the Okemos community since 2007. We are the proud parents of 3 Okemos Public School graduates, 2012, 2014, and 2016. I am an electrical engineer and I have an MBA. I currently work with Consumers Energy managing strategic projects and programs. Additionally, I have experience teaching career and technical education at the high school and post-secondary levels. Board of Education service is a convergence of my passions, service to the community, supporting youth education and development, and effective governance.
Third is nonpartisan candidate Andy Phelps.
About me, I'm frankly just a dad. I'm a husband, and I'm really passionate about providing the best education possible for our kids here in Okemos. I have a 1st grader and a 4th grader at Bennett Woods Elementary. My wife and I moved here in 2009, or we purchased our home in 2009 here in Okemos, specifically based on the reputation of the public schools and a community that's singularly focused on providing the best education for our kids. As everyone knows, there's no city of Okemos, there's no town of Okemos, there's no village of Okemos. It is a school district. So that is our goal here, and I'm proud to be part of a group of parents and families who want the best education for our kids. That's why I'm running for Board of Education.
And finally, our last candidate running for the Okemos School Board is nonpartisan candidate Jamie Taylor.
Years, and I've been very active in the school district all 14 years. I've served as president as both the Kinderwa Middle School and Okemos High School parent groups for many years. And I've served on 2 of the strategic planning committees and also the bond committee back in the bond that passed in 2018 so graciously by our community. And then just in general, the advocating that I've had to do for my kids, all of them have had a variety of different struggles in school with learning disabilities and ADHD. And it's taught me a lot. It's a lot of work, making sure that their educational needs are being met. And it's also a voice and a perspective that I really think needs to make sure that is heard and recognized on our school board.
Meridian Township does not have any new proposals. However, there are different millage renewals up to be reinstated. The first millage renewal is the EMS fire protection millage. The money collected from this millage is around 18% of the Meridian Township Fire Department's operating budget. The department uses the millage funds to supply the department with uniform staffing and necessary equipment for firefighters.
Yeah, so the last renewal is asking for exactly the same as today, is to continue to pay the personnel costs. It's about 6 staff members, and then, you know, equipment such as emergency response equipment, EMS equipment, things like that, and uniforms. So, you know, it's critical equipment to be able to maintain and do our job.
The second is the Meridian Police Protection Millage Renewal. Like the fire millage, the Police Protection Millage funds about 18% of the police department's annual operating budget.
So 18% of our budget is a pretty significant amount of money. It is, we are authorized by the township to have 41 sworn police officers. We have a fleet of 12 police cars to outfit those officers for patrol. It would be used for equipment, training, salaries for police officers. It's a significant amount of our operating budget.
If reinstated, both the police and fire millages will be in effect for 16 years. Finally, there is the Meridian Land Preservation Millage. This millage can be renewed every 10 years. The money helps the land preservation program that allows the township to preserve, maintain, and manage environmentally sensitive lands.
When the land preservation program was started, there was Meridian Township had already seen quite a bit of development, and everyone felt like we needed to continue to preserve our green spaces. And at that time, a green space plan was developed for the township, creating corridors of areas for wildlife to travel and basically just to make our community more livable. Everyone likes green spaces in their backyards, and that's really what makes Meridian Township so special.
That's all for today's special election episode of Meridian News Now. You can find the full interviews for every candidate on hometv.net, and make sure to join us live on Tuesday, November 3rd at 8 p.m. for your choice 2020 general election coverage. Cable subscribers can view the programs by tuning in to Comcast Cable Channel 21 or Comcast Cable Channel 30. Non-cable subscribers can, or those who live outside the viewing area, will have the opportunity to view live general election night coverage and get results through a live video stream at Home TV's website, www.hometv.net. Facebook page can also be found, the link to watch live. I'm Katie Schroeder. Thanks for watching and have a great day.